Day, everybody. Welcome to the channel and welcome back to those who continue to tune in from week to week. As you can tell, I have a pattern review. Yes, I finally made up the Style Arc Belle woven dress, and so yeah, this is a little bit of a loaded, maybe semi-loaded review. So pull up a chair, take your notes. Yeah, we're just gonna jump right in because I have a lot to say. So I am wearing a Me Made tank I've had for ages, and then this duster also I made. It's a out of print pattern. What is it? Simplicity 8978, I believe. So yeah, I made it out of this chiffon. Actually, I made 3 of these. I put it in my TNT. Anyway, so first off, where do I want to go first? So far as fabric, I am going to start there, and I'm going to start there for a reason. One, I did not do the pockets on the dress because I didn't have enough fabric. And 2, the skirt, and you can't really tell because the skirt is full. I didn't have enough to go, you know how you go all the way to the end of the skirt? So my fabric was not wide enough, and so it's probably 1.5 inches, maybe 2 inches, I would say, of the fullness at the bottom of the skirt that's not there. But again, you can't really tell because it's such a full skirt, the front and back piece anyway. And the fabric came from Hobby Lobby. It's a gauze, which I like. It's very lightweight. I do like how lightweight it is. We're going to jump into the good parts first. She fits. That's good. The size that I went with, this pattern goes up to a size 30. So it is a pretty size inclusive pattern, excuse me. And it has 10 pattern pieces. I cut out the side, I graded. So I cut out a straight 22, but I started out at an 18 at the shoulder. And I went down to about right below the, right above the bust area, and went out to a 22 all the way to the waist, and waist down 22. And that worked. You do sew this up at a 3/8 inch seam allowance, so keep that in mind if you decide to kind of play with the sizing, or if you're grading between sizes and you think, you know, how far down do how much seam allowance do I have to work with? It's 3/8 inch seam allowance. So I will say that. I do love that you notice there are no buttons on the front. I am going to add the buttons. We'll talk about that in a second. It does have shirring for the back. I'll pop up the line drawing. I will tell you why mine does not have shirring in the back. Of course, I love the V-neck. There's 3/4 length sleeve. We have shirring on the sleeve, which I love. I love that. You know what? That's what made me get this pattern. If anybody remember, it was a few videos, probably a couple months ago. I did a video on some patterns that I purchased and that I wanted to make up soon because I was really drawn to them. Now I'm in my shirt dress era where I'm working on collar stand. This is not a shirt dress because you don't have the collar stand, but I love the long, the flowy of it, and it buttons all the way down. But I chose not to do the buttons. There is a double front waist yoke, so you do have that in the front. You don't have it in the back. The shirring, the back waistband is the shirring part. And then you have the gathered bodice in the skirt and sleeve head. So you do gather it in the back, in the skirt area. You do gather it in the front area. And then up here at the shoulders, which you can really see. You gather here out of the shoulder. And let me see if you can see. There's gathering. You'll see better in the picture. It doesn't show very well on Lady Dane, but there is gathering right here around the bust area. And I will say that I matched up my seams really good. Let me zoom you in. So as you can tell, I did, you can't see the seam, everything matches. at the top, the bottom. So this is that front yoke piece that you're gathering into. And so when I overlap, because I never planned to have this to be functional, and I knew it would go over my head. And so the one thing that I did do, you will notice on the line drawing, this is a deep V. I decided to cross mine over up to about right here. I knew about on me where I wanted it to hit, so I wouldn't have to wear a tank. Lady Dane is wearing a tank, but you'll see in the pictures I did not have to wear a tank, which was really nice. Here's a more close-up of the shirring that's going on the sleeve, and then you put the elastic through at the bottom, and all I did was just serge. And this is a wearable muslin. Y'all know usually I'm more of a stickler about matching my thread, but I wasn't this time. Wearable muslin. But yeah, this here, and we're going to talk about this, why mine looks like this, because all of this whole seam connection part is supposed to be enclosed. So yeah, let's get into the pattern. So those are all the beautiful things about the pattern. I really do. I was drawn to it for the look. I love the look of it, the ease of it. Like wearing this seam will be very comfortable, and it is very comfortable. The sleeves on it, you all know I am going to put these sleeves on my fancy flare dress that's coming soon. So if you have not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe, and don't forget to thumbs up this video. It's just a real simple hack that I'm doing on the fancy flare dress. I'm adding these sleeves, and so I love these sleeves. I love these sleeves. Anyway, and I can see me taking these sleeves into other patterns as well. So if I did not mention it, my full bust is 49, waist is 45. So again, I went from a 18 at the shoulder to a 22 for the rest of the entire outfit. You do need, I would say, get 5 yards of fabric. It says 4 and what does it say? 4.5? No, not even. It says for sizes 24 through 30, 4 yards. I would say 4.5. Only because, and you want to make sure if you can get 60 inches or wider of fabric, do that. Make sure you do that. Because unless you have, you know, it's non-stretch and you can turn it a different way and get more yardage, you know, get the pieces out that way. So be mindful of the fabric. Now, I said I got 4 yards. Again, like I said, 4.5 yards. Oh my goodness. So the shirring, you all know if you don't know, I have that Bernina that I have been sewing on more regularly to get me used to sewing on it. But because I knew I needed to do shirring on this dress, I sewed everything up on my Genome HD 3000 because I've shirred on it many times before, and I didn't feel like trying to learn the drop down, the bobbin that's underneath as opposed to the drop down on top bobbin placement. So I didn't feel like messing with all that. So few things as I was reading through, I am going to honestly just say this. Had I not found later a sew along for this dress, I promise I thought I looked like several times for a sew along or something like that for this dress, and I could not find it unless I just wasn't paying attention to. And then when I looked again later on, when I was pretty much done with the dress, all these videos popped up. So that obviously that's on me. So I am going to leave the link to the video that I thought was pretty good. It's about her video is 2-3 years old. I think the channel is So Happy. 2-3 years old is how long the video was made. But had I not seen that, and I was going off of me reading the instructions and going through it, I know we have all said this, or we've seen people say this about style arc patterns, that the written instructions, because there's not a lot there. You have to read through everything very carefully. Had I not found that so long, I would have said hard pass. Don't get it. But once I saw the sew along, and I was like, well, maybe, I mean, it was just the way it's the way it's written. Some parts is very confusing, more confusing than I think it needed to be. This is one of those patterns. You all let me know. Don't let me be the only one like this now. Y'all be honest. This is one of those patterns that I had to read out loud the steps 2 to 3 times before I did it. Like out loud. I'm in my sewing room for certain parts, not every single step, but some of the steps that I found to be confusing, which was most of them, I had to say them out loud 2 to 3 times before I got what it was saying. And then I made a note thinking, why not just say X, Y, and Z? And so one of the things that the reason why mine is not shirred in the back, let me just address this. This is the, I don't know if I have the shirring piece. My sewing room is a mess. Okay, so here is the back waist piece that needs to be shirred, and it says cut on the fold. So don't cut 2 on the fold, cut 1 on the fold. I'm looking at it again, cut 1 main on the fold. When I did the 6 rows of shirring, this is how small it got from this piece. And even if you watch that lady sew along, her shirring piece did not look like it shrunk up this much. Even with me stretching it, right? Like this. I can stretch it. Now again, this could be, and of course I use the longest stitch length, which on the Genome is a 4. I've done it many times and never had any issues. I don't know why there were issues with this. And I can stretch it just a little bit further past the pattern piece. However, that needed to be connected to the back bodice piece, which is twice this length. There was no way this was stretching, and I know you're supposed to ease in, and obviously you're gathering in a little bit for it to fit, but it was way too much because of the size. And I was like, there is no way. There is no way. And I threw this to the side, and what I did was cut another piece, which I barely had fabric to cut another one of these on the fold. I attached it to the back bodice. Let me see if I can show you. You can barely tell. Let me pan you down. See if you can see this. Okay, so here it is. So I pleated the back waist, and I gathered everything in to meet the pleats. So I made the pleats even on each side, but I made it the length of that back waistband piece, and then I gathered in the skirt to meet that. I hope that makes sense. And so that's how it looks from the back. So when you see me in the picture with this on, you'll see how this kind of bows over a little bit in the back. Not horrible, which that doesn't look horrible, but that's not how it's supposed to be. And then the other part that, oh, it was just so many parts. I think even the instructions for how to attach the front yoke to the bottom of the bodice, I thought, that why are we doing this? It's like you had to fold under, and then because you don't attach the front to the back until after the yoke pieces are in. And the way they have you do it, and you fold under 3/8, attach, and then you put, it's clean on the inside, that area. I can show it to you. It is clean on the inside, but I thought, wow, it's just too complicated. Am I going to make another one? Let me answer you now. No, I'm not going to make another one of these. I just think it's just I don't know. It was just too much of a challenge for me for some steps that I was like, okay, this doesn't look like it needs to be that complicated. I do like you do have the double yoke, so you get to, have the clean finish on the inside for the yoke. But here's the front, and you'll see where my parts overlap here. But see that whole yoke piece on the inside? It's clean. It's definitely clean. I like that. I do like that. However, I just felt like it was just, yeah, I just was not impressed with these instructions. You all know I've made many style art, quite a few style art patterns. I actually just made the Tony dress. What was that, last month? So, and I actually did a sew along with that, sew with me on that one. So, you know, not all of them are wins. I will say the dress itself is a win because I think it is beautiful. Once it's done in the final look, it is beautiful. I love the way she looks. And I love the way she looks on me. Now, she's not totally styled how I would style her. I just put her on so I can take some pictures. But the buttons I'm going for, let me just show you. Buttons I'm going for are these. I got these from Hobby Lobby. And I said, oh, I'm going to go back because I thought, maybe not. I thought they had these in different colors, but this same look. Let me show it to you. See how that's like an orange and then the like fake diamonds around or whatever, crystals. And so I was like, oh, I think I would like that if they have it in a green or blue, or if I had to get this color, I would, because it's not really an orange. Maybe it looks more orange to me. No, it's an orange, I can see. It is more of an orange, but yeah, I would get it in this color. Again, I just really like those buttons, and I thought that would be nice down the front. Like I said, I never intended this to be functional. I just wanted to make it. And because this is one of those patterns you all know that I've been itching to make, and I said, let me go ahead and do it. But like I said, I will link to the video, the sew along that I did see, because it was just a couple certain parts with attaching some of the pieces that I was like, what? And you know how sometimes you're working on a pattern and you put it to the side and like, okay, I'll go back to it tomorrow, and then you kind of thinking about it in the evening as you're resting, or you know, you're like, huh, maybe it meant this. And then that's when I started looking on YouTube again, and I ran across that that video that is linked in the description box. So overall, I honestly believe this is a beautiful dress. I really do. This is a beautiful dress. I love how it looks. I will not be making it again. I just feel like, and it's one of those where even though I made notes of certain things I would do different, some areas I didn't make the note. And so that let me know if I didn't expound on partly of what I said, that means I'm not going to make it again. I'm not going to revisit. And so love it. Love how it looks, but I'm not revisiting this one. But hey, you know, can't win them all. It's all good. It's fine. It's fun. It's part of the journey, part of the sewing journey. But yeah, this one. And I'm not deterred from making other style art patterns at all. I'm not. I have a few. I have one in particular, shirt dress that's going to come up later this fall. But I saw a review on it already, so I already know how good it is, and the instructions and the little tips, so I'm good. But yeah, I say if you don't mind the brevity of their instructions, their written instructions, you're fine. But if you don't mind the brevity, but you wouldn't mind seeing just, you know, a couple things in action, go to the link in my description box to the YouTube channel where she did a full sew along, and I thought it kind of explained things well. And yeah, go from there. All right, let me know what you think. If the future me, because at the time I'm recording this, I don't think I'm gonna make it in time to Hobby Lobby and take pictures and stuff. So but if I do, you'll see me with everything, the buttons and everything. But if not, you'll more than likely see me in the thumbnail with no buttons on the front, and I'll update the thumbnail once I put the buttons on, because my plan is to wear this to church coming up in the following week. So anyway, that is the plan. All right, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in today. I greatly appreciate it, and make sure you subscribe, because I have a fun fabric haul. It's been a while, but I have a fun fabric haul coming up on Sunday. All right, everybody, have a blessed one, and we'll see you then. Bye.